What do we want from a supply chain? How do we know if we have a good supply chain? What are the important areas? Do we have a way of knowing how our supply chain is performing in each of them? We discussed many of the areas in the last video, so you should have quite a lot of them fresh in your mind. But a bit of interaction now. I'd like you to pause the video, remembering what we just discussed in the last video. Think and list out what you think the most important aspects of a supply chain's performance are. I know, thinking. It's much easier just to watch me ramble on, but go on. That hesitancy you might be feeling right now is because you know it's mental work. Sure, I think you will learn a lot from just listening to me, but you'll learn much more if you do some serious thinking as you go. Actively trying to recall what you just learnt and apply it yourself immediately to your own thinking. You don't have to do it for long, just write down 5 to 10 areas, aspects, and think for another 20 seconds. You can definitely do that. Some of these areas we've talked around, some mentioned directly, and others we haven't mentioned yet. Here's my idea for the first one on the list. High output. So there's just an idea. Anyway, go on then. Aspects of a supply chain's performance. Pause the video, get a pen and paper, and write down a little list. Okay, did you do it? Pause now if you haven't, and just give it a quick think and scribble. Alright, here's a list I prepared for you to compare against. First, output. The quantity of stuff delivered or supplied per time period. Sometimes we want to maximize this. Other times, another aspect of performance is more important, but we'll come back to that. Either way, tracking the output of our supply chain is crucial. Next, high customer satisfaction. In some ways, this is the ultimate output, but getting a satisfied customer will be a combination of many things. High output, so that we have the capacity to meet the customer orders without long delays. Accurate and predictable delivery times according to what was agreed and expected. Delivering the correct orders without mistakes and without damage. So that's a kind of quality aspect. And availability. You can never make a customer happy or have output if you are out of stock. So all those things combine to contribute to customer satisfaction, which is certainly something we'll want to be measuring. Maybe the number of satisfied customers per month, the number of on-time in-full deliveries, the average review rating, etc. Now we move on to cost. Sure, we want a supply chain that can deliver very high output and make lots of incredibly happy customers. But the cost of running our supply chain to achieve those things is very important. A good supply chain can deliver high output and high customer satisfaction whilst having a tight control on costs. Costs include labour, the people who run the supply chain, machines, trucks, robots, packing equipment, the cost of mistakes, rejects, damage, waste, and the costs of having lots of inventory. So we need the overall cost of our supply chain and breaking that down further into its components. Similar, but different to costs, is controlling the capital employed in the supply chain. Remember, this is the value of stuff the supply chain possesses. It needs a lot of it to function, but it might not need a lot of it either. Capital employed in the supply chain is the value of equipment, inventory, buildings, etc. So we'll want to be tracking that again as an overall total and also broken down into its components. Then we talked about cash flow, why a good, fast cash flow is so important to the business and what the supply chain can do to help. So how might we measure that in the supply chain? This will be measuring things like the flow of inventory through the business, inventory turns, turnover, maintaining low inventory levels, making fast deliveries without stock sat in the supply chain for ages. And it also means getting quick payments from your customers, which we should also be tracking. The time from order to getting paid and the time from the delivery to getting paid. In fact, take that even further. We should also be recording time from paying for our stock from our suppliers to the time we get paid by our customers, because minimizing that is ultimately what gives us a good cash flow. The next area would be employee safety and satisfaction, because safe and happy employees are productive, stay with the company, do a good job, take care of customers, have a low staff turnover, which is a big cost, hiring and training people. So yes, employee safety and satisfaction is a big deal. Finally, flexibility. An awesome, super unrealistic, perfect, no compromise supply chain is not just high output, low capital employed, fast cash flow, safe with happy people. It is also flexible. How important this is varies a lot by supply chain. There are supply chains where it's the lowest of priorities. Those supply chains that are built to be effective, low cost, very high volume, low variation, high repeatability. And for them, flexibility is not a big deal. For other supply chains, such as consumer fashion with rapidly changing tastes and demand rates, the ability of its supply chain to react, scale up, scale down, find new suppliers and customers, offer new routes and establish new contracts to quickly take on extra demand or offer new services. That flexibility is an essential business-winning factor and is sometimes the primary area of performance upon which the whole business's success lies. Measuring flexibility doesn't come easily into traditional KPIs. We'll see that it can be considered by the level of available excess buffers of time, inventory and capacity that can be deployed for scaling up quickly. But the main message on the flexibility point is that it is a crucial area of supply chain performance, alongside output, cost, delivery, inventory, etc. And to consider how important it is to your type of supply chain. So, there's my rundown list of essential areas of supply chain performance. Output, customer satisfaction, cost, capital employed, cash flow, employee safety and satisfaction, and flexibility. No, you can't be the best at all of them. There are serious trade-offs, but you should have some core measures to track your supply chain in each of those areas of performance, so you know where you stand and can make informed strategic decisions about which areas you want to excel at for tracking changes and guiding improvement initiatives.